All right, so get ready because today we are diving deep into the Baltic Sea Anomaly.
Yeah, the one that's had everybody talking and guessing for what, over a decade now?
It's like finding something like Stonehenge, but underwater.
And way less is known about this, even with how much attention it's gotten. It's amazing how one sonar image could just blow up the internet like that.
Oh, yeah, back in 2011,
Right.
when that Swedish treasure hunting team, Ocean X, they were out looking for shipwrecks, right? You know, the usual stuff you'd find on the seafloor, treasure, maybe some lost cargo.
Yeah.
But then they find this massive circular thing.
Huge. Yeah, like 60 meters across.
Wow.
It doesn't look like any shipwreck anybody's ever seen.
I remember seeing those early pictures, like right when it hit the internet.
Yeah, some people said it looked like the Millennium Falcon,
Oh, yeah, from Star Wars.
Han Solo's ship.
I can totally see the resemblance.
Yeah, so people immediately jumped to aliens.
Of course, right. It's the shape. And then later they found these weird grooves and lines all over it.
And don't forget about all their equipment going haywire when they got close.
Oh, yeah, the equipment thing. Can you explain that a bit? What happened?
So basically, as their boat got closer, their electronics started acting up.
Like how?
Sonar readings were distorted. Some of their equipment even just shut off completely.
And then when they backed away, it went back to normal?
Yeah, just like that. That's the electromagnetic interference that everybody is so interested in.
It's like its own force field.
Right.
So aliens is one theory. What else have people been saying it could be?
Well, you've got your usual suspects for this type of mystery. Some people say it's a secret Nazi weapon.
Oh, from World War II?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. The Baltic Sea was super important back then.
Yeah, it makes sense historically.
But there isn't really any evidence to support it, though.
Nothing.
No blueprints, no records, nothing solid. It's just based on the fact that the shape is kind of similar to some military stuff. That's it.
Okay, so what about the scientists? I'm guessing they have a more, I don't know, normal explanation.
Yeah, the scientific community is mostly leaning towards natural geological formations. The Baltic Sea region was completely reshaped by glaciers
Right,
during the last ice age.
right.
So it's possible that it's just a big glacial deposit.
A giant lump of Ice Age leftovers.
Basically, yeah, maybe a pile of rocks or sediment that got molded into this weird shape over thousands of years.
But if it's just natural, why haven't we found anything like it before?
Yeah, that's the weird part. Glacial deposits in the Baltic often contain minerals, limestone, basalt, that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And that matches up with the sample analysis they got from the anomaly.
Interesting.
But that shape is still super weird. Some geologists have said that maybe some strange currents or ice movements during the Ice Age could have made that specific formation.
Mm.
But yeah, it's definitely unique, especially with how symmetrical it is
Yeah.
and just the sheer size of it.
Okay, so we've got aliens, Nazis, and a giant Ice Age rock. What else could it be?
One theory that I think is really cool is ancient megastructures. Imagine a civilization from way back when the sea levels were much lower and they built something huge on dry land.
Okay.
And the ice melts, sea levels rise, and now their structure is underwater. That's what we could be seeing now.
Oh, wow. It's like something straight out of Indiana Jones.
I know, right? And when the divers went down there, they said they saw all these grooves and markings, almost like they could be part of a larger structure.
Hmm.
And some people even say they saw what looked like a staircase on one side.
Oh, really?
But we only have eyewitness accounts for that, no pictures.
Okay, so to recap, alien spaceship, Nazi weapon, natural formation, ancient megastructure. Those are our options.
That's a pretty wide range of possibilities.
Yeah, but what I think is so interesting is that all these theories are at least somewhat plausible. I mean, they all connect to the anomaly in some way.
Totally. That's what makes this such a good deep dive. We aren't talking about something totally made up. We're talking about real possibilities. They might be unlikely, but they could change how we think about history, science, even the entire universe.
So how do we figure out which theory is right? What happened after they found it with sonar? Did they go back to check it out more?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. The Ocean X team decided to go back in 2012.
Oh, I want to hear about this. Let's pause here for a moment and we'll pick up the story in part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good. Welcome back.
So last time we were talking about how the Ocean X team went back to the anomaly site for a second look in 2012.
Yeah, they wanted to get better images this time and hopefully collect some samples.
They definitely needed more than just that sonar image.
Right, so they took some more advanced equipment with them.
And what did they find? Did they get any closer to solving this mystery?
Well, the sonar images this time were much higher resolution.
Nice.
Yeah, and remember those lines and grooves on the surface?
Yeah, almost like something was dragged across it.
Exactly. Well, now you could see those markings even better. Yeah, and they were really regular, almost like geometric.
Geometric, you say. That doesn't sound very natural.
It doesn't, does it? I mean, nature makes some amazing patterns, but that kind of regularity is pretty unusual.
It's like someone put them there on purpose.
Yeah, like some kind of design or inscription. I don't know.
Now I'm thinking ancient civilization or even
I
aliens.
know, right?
Yeah.
It's hard not to think about that stuff.
Yeah.
But we have to look at everything.
Of course. What else could it be?
Well, remember the glaciers in the Baltic Sea?
Right.
So those massive ice sheets could have scraped across the seafloor and made those marks.
Okay, like a giant ice bulldozer.
Right, but they would have to be really, really regular.
True.
Oh, and they also found a thermal anomaly down there.
Oh, what? What's with that?
So they used thermal imaging cameras, and it turns out the anomaly was warmer than the surrounding seabed.
Oh, wow. So it's putting off heat. That's really weird.
It is, and that's not something you can easily explain with ice sheets or random geological formations.
So aliens and ancient civilizations it is then.
Not so fast. We still haven't talked about the samples they took.
Oh, right. They grabbed a piece of it.
They did, and they had it analyzed in a lab.
What was it?
Granite, gneiss, and sandstone, mostly.
And those are normal rocks, right?
Yeah, very common in that area.
So that supports the natural formation idea?
Kind of, but the granite is interesting.
How so?
Well, granite is igneous rock.
Meaning what?
It forms from magma, cool lava, basically.
Okay.
And granite is pretty rare in the Baltic Sea. There are some deposits, but the closest large granite formations are really far away.
So how did a chunk of granite get to the anomaly?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Some geologists think the glaciers could have carried it there during the Ice Age.
But what about the shape and those markings we talked about?
Yeah, that's still unexplained.
This is like one big puzzle.
It really is. Every time we get a new piece of information, it just leads to more questions.
So what about the government? Have they gotten involved at all? I mean, this seems pretty important.
Well, that's where things get a little strange. The government hasn't been involved at all.
Really? Why not? Wouldn't they want to know what it is?
You'd think so, right? It could be really important.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's just a money thing. Investigating something like that can be really expensive, and maybe they just don't think it's worth it.
I mean, there are probably a lot of other things they have to spend money on.
Right. But the fact that they aren't involved has led to some conspiracy theories.
Oh, I bet. Like what?
Well, some people think they're covering it up.
A cover-up?
Yeah, they say it could be something so big, so important, that they don't want the public to know about it.
Like what?
Maybe it's proof of an ancient civilization or something even crazier, like aliens.
Wow. I mean, that would change everything we thought we knew.
It would, but it's still just speculation. We have no proof.
But if it was a cover-up, we wouldn't have any proof, would we?
I see what you say. It's like the lack of evidence is the evidence.
I know. Crazy, right? But come on. If they wanted to keep it a secret, wouldn't they have done a better job? I mean, the Ocean X team found it. Everyone knows about it now.
Yeah, you would think so, right?
Yeah.
But maybe they're trying to hide it in plain sight. Maybe they're downplaying it or making people think it's not important.
It's like trying to hide a tree in a forest.
Exactly. Surround the mystery with a bunch of noise and misinformation, and it's harder to see the truth.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of noise surrounding this anomaly.
But even with all that, there are still scientists out there who are trying to solve this mystery using science and facts.
I'm glad someone is still looking into it. What are they focusing on?
Well, a lot of people are excited about these new advanced imaging techniques.
What kind of technique?
High-resolution sonar, 3D mapping, even underwater robots with cameras.
Wow, it's like sending a robot to another planet.
I know, right?
So what are they hoping to learn?
They want to figure out what it's made of, how it's structured, and maybe even where it came from.
Big questions.
Yeah, they want to know if it's one solid thing, or if it's made of layers. Are there any rooms or passageways inside? Are there any markings or features that look artificial?
We should be able to figure that out with the technology we have now, right?
You'd think so, but the Baltic Sea is a tough place to work. The water is cold and murky, visibility is bad, and the currents can be unpredictable.
So it's hard to use that fancy equipment down there.
Yeah, you need a lot of expertise and a little bit of luck.
I hope they find something. It would be great to finally solve this thing once and for all.
Me too. But even if we never get a definite answer, every new piece of data helps us understand it a little bit better.
It's true that we've learned a lot about this anomaly, even though we don't know what it is.
And it reminds us that there's still so much we don't know about our own planet.
It really makes you think, what else is down there?
Exactly. It just shows that we need to keep exploring and keep asking questions.
I agree. So what else have you found out about this thing? What else can we learn from it?
Well, there's one more thing we haven't talked about yet, and it's a really important part of this whole story.
All right, back for the final part of our deep dive into this Baltic Sea anomaly. You were saying there's something else about this that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty important, especially with something like this that could completely change how we think about things. We've been talking about the science and the theories and all that, but what about the people involved?
You mean like the people who discovered it, the divers, the researchers?
Yeah, but also how this whole thing has affected us, like what it makes us think about.
Like our imagination.
Yeah, the Baltic Sea anomaly isn't just some science thing. It's become part of our culture. It's like we all want to know what's out there. Are we alone in the universe? Things like that.
It's like a modern myth.
Exactly. And it's everywhere. Documentaries, articles, people talking about it online. It's just so interesting to people.
And honestly, it's because we don't know what it is. It's like we can imagine anything we want about it.
All right, it's a blank canvas. People put their own hopes and fears onto it.
So even if we never figure out what it is, it's already done something. It's made us curious.
For sure, it's sparked our imaginations and shown us that there's still so much we don't know.
Well said, and I think that's a good place to end our deep dive. But before we go, I want to leave everyone with one last thought.
Right.
This Baltic Sea anomaly, whatever it is, has really captured our imagination and got people thinking and talking. It shows just how much we love a good mystery and how we always want to learn more.
I completely agree. It's proof that there's still so much out there to find and explore and try to understand.
So keep that curiosity alive, keep asking questions, keep looking for answers. Who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next big mystery. Until then, happy exploring.